Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohamad bin Rosdi. So today I present about my part, which is introduction, task one, introduction, task four, and task five. Okay. So for our introduction for this project is this database. The purpose is to help the head minister to find and track the patients that are coming from the other country. Right. Besides, all the information that we get from the patient or from the visitor outside the country, they come here and we will record and save in our database. Right, so by doing that, it will easy to the medical system, medical support, and others to get the information about the patient. So basically, this project is about uh, to see either the patient okay is recovered or still under observation.
Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hassan bin Muhammad Ashhuri, 1812627. So, I will explain to you about the task 2. The task 2 is about the entity relationship diagram or ARD diagram. So, this is our ARD, simple ARD diagram. We have 4 tables: hospital, the on-call, case, and contamination. The on-call are connected to the hospital and case because um, the hospital are related to the doctor, and the case also related to doctor. And under the case, we have the contact patient. Alright. So this is our ARD diagram, and then we move on to the task 3, which are about the data dictionary. So this is the table that explain about the data dictionary. So the first table is hospital. We have the attribute, several attribute, which are hospital ID, hospital name, address, and phone number. So this is the data type. And then for the table hospital, the primary key is hospital ID, and of course the primary key must be not now. Okay. And then for the next table, we have table location, and we have location ID, district, state, and population. So for the location table, the primary key is the location ID. And then for the next table, doctor on call table, we have the doctor ID attribute, doctor name, hospital ID, salary, and cell per case. So in this table, the primary key is the doctor ID, and this hospital ID is a foreign key, and the foreign key is also not be now, must be not with must not be not now, must be not now. Okay, sorry. Alright. So for the last table, the fourth table, we have cases table, and the cases table have a many attributes. Have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attributes, which are case ID, name, date in, date out, status, dot ID, location ID. So the primary key is the case ID, and the foreign key for this table is doctor ID and location ID, the foreign key. Alright, so it's okay. That's all for the task 3. Alright, we move on to the task 4.
Okay, so I will continue to the task four, which is creating table. So in our project, we create four tables, which is hospital, contact on location, data cases, and doctor on call. Okay. So in the hospital, we have hospital ID, hospital name, address, and phone number. Okay, hospital ID we set as a primary key, and yes, because of that is a primary key, so we set not none. Which means we can the user or the one who will key in the data cannot be the hospital ID as a null. They must have a number because it's a primary key. So that's for the hospital table. we will looking to the next table, which is contact location. So location ID will be a primary key, and in the contact location table, we have district, state, and population. Okay. So for the state and district, we use varchar 2 because of varchar we can combine a number and the word. Okay. What for the population is only a number. Okay. Next, uh, create table, which is table doctor on call. Okay, the person that in charge to the patient. So in the on call, we have dot ID, dot name, hospital ID, salary, and salary per case. Okay. For the on call table, the primary key is dot ID. Okay. We set not null. Also with the hospital ID not null because the ID is the primary key of the hospital table. Okay. So next, which is a last table, which is a table cases. So in the table cases, we have case ID, name, date in, date out, status, dot ID, and location ID. So case ID basically the patient information. So in this cases table, case ID become a primary key, and we said here is not null. It means we must keep in the data, cannot be null. Okay. So basically that's the four main table that we create, and this is the alter table where you can see we add the foreign key in the on call. Okay. Table alter table juga for the cases. Okay, we alter the table also for the cases which we have log ID and location ID, log ID. Here refer to the okay. Dot ID refer to the on call. Foreign key for log ID refer to contact location. Okay. Both are foreign key for the cases table. Okay, so now I will show you how we insert. Now I will show how we insert the value into the table. Okay, now you can see here is the table where we insert the value in the table. So we use command insert into and values. And you can see here hospital is a table name. So basically this must be the command is sorry, the command is insert into table name values. So that command for the command when you want to insert the data. Okay. And here 2277 is represent the hospital ID, and hospital typing is a hospital name. Jalan Kamisari 3400 Kaltim Perak, present the address, and phone number is the last one. Okay. So all the information here we update, and you can see what the output in the SQL soon. Okay. So we also have insert into contact location the value. Just follow the what we create before, which is follow the step. First we have ID, and then we have district. Okay, district Johor Bahru, and then we have state Johor and the postcode. Must follow the sequence that and we create the table. Now I will show you what is meant by null. Okay. Now, if you can see here in the cases table, we have insert into cases. Okay, the value is 968, which means case ID, and Sulaiman is a case name. The in for January 2020 and null. That means null. Null is mean here. The patient still in the hospital, he did not check out did not check out because of what? Because the status is still active. Alright. So who are the one that responsible to him? Which is 715. Who are 715? 715 is Dr. Sarah. Alright. And where is the location that he got infected? 6350. 6350 is represent to Pendang, Kedah. So we know that Mr. Sulaiman is from Kedah, okay, and his status of the COVID-19 is still active. Okay, so all this is how we insert the value in the table. Okay. Now I will show you the after we put all the information in the table and the output when we run in the SQL and when we run in SQL. So here, okay. So you can see before after we put all the information, this is the what we can see from the SQL. So we use command. So we use command select all from hospital, select all from hospital, or select staff from hospital. And all the data in the hospital will be shown here. Okay, so there are 10 rows selected. Okay, 2277, hospital name is Hospital Titan, Jalan Tamisari 3400 Titan Perak, and the phone number. Okay, so follow the sequence from the first when we create a table. So follow the sequence. Next is data contact on location. Okay, we have log ID here, all the log ID here, district, all the district, state and population. Also use the same command which is select star from contact location. And there are 10 rows selected. Okay. Also same to the doctor on call. We have doctor ID, doctor name, hospital ID, salary and sales of case. Then the ID 657, who 657 represent to who number. Okay. 2243 is a hospital ID, salary is 28,047 and 4997 is a salary purchase. And the last one is the select all from the cases. Okay, I show you what's mean by none. Okay, so the case ID is 968. It's Mr. Sulaiman. The in for January, and yes, it did not mention the date out because of what? Because he's still active. So let's say the patient is already recovered. So it shows here date out. Okay, 16 May. For example, case A, case ID, and the name is Madam Rosia. The in is 13 March, and he out on 16 May. Because of what? Because he already recovered from the case, from the COVID-19. Okay, so that's all from me. So I will pass the presentation to the next presenter. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Izzul Ismail bin Ibrahim. Thank you to my previous member on explaining on task 5, which is data insertion. Now I'm going to explain on SQL statements that we have already put inside the database. We have 5 SQL statements that we put. So let's proceed to that. So first is to list out all cases in the table, which is to select all from case. It's just as easy as select all from case. Then it will showcase all the cases, just like on this result, all the cases that we already insert in the table. Second SQL statement is to list out all the cases from specific.id. With this, we select case ID and also the name from the case table, and we put a specific doctor ID condition so that it will return the case ID of the doctor ID, which is 657, and the name of the patient. The third question is to find out what salary the patient's doctor has through case ID and doctor ID. So we are joining two table through natural join, which is to select c.caseid, d.id, d.name, and d.salary, which d represents doctor on call table and c represents the case table. So in order for us to join, we have to use this type of command, which is we familiarize both foreign key, which is doc.id, and then we put specific case ID, which is 640 as the control, and it will give the result returning .id 360, .name Yusri, and salary 2016,359. That is an example. The fourth question is to allow admin to add, remove, and modify doctor in doc on-call table. First is addition, similar to insertion. The command is to insert into doc on-call table, which the value is the doc ID, doctor name, hospital ID, salary, and salary per month. With that, if insert correctly with the semicolon, we will create a row. So to prove that, this is the result. And then moving on to this as a result of deletion. I'm sorry, I will add it after. It's okay, I will do it now. Insert into the on call okay, so to prove that, we select on from the on call. Then we get this one. We will get an extra row. And moving on to modify. Modify, we need to update. So we update and we set cell per case to 300,000, where the ID is 100, which is the dot ID, which is the previous one, this one. So the result is the salary per case is changed. Now we go to delete from doc on call. We go to the deletion, which is to remove. We delete from doc on call where doc ID is 100. So if that, it shows that there is no row selected. And then we list the fifth question is to list out all cases that is active, because we put status that is active or discharge or in between both. So we select case ID, name from case, and the status is active. So this is the result on which all the case ID and the name that is active during COVID-19. So that is task 6. With that, I give to my next member who will explain on task 7. Thank you.
Alright, now we go to task 7, which is we are required to do procedures, to create procedures. So these our procedures 1. The scenario is the procedure is want to determine patient name, case ID, and the status by inserting the doctor name that handled the case. So here are the codes. We in this procedure we use cursor. So the cursor name is find case, right? So yes, and the list of patient name, case ID, and status are ordered by status, right? The status. Okay, and then we do a cursor, open loop, open fetch, SD, and close find case. Right. So this is an example of the output of this procedure. So if we insert the doctor name, so in this example the doctor is Sarah, and the result is will be come out the patient name which is Razak. So the patient name is handled by the Dr. Sarah, and the status also. This the 583 is patient ID. Okay, this is another example. This is Dr. Nabil. So Dr. Nabil have patient name Rosia, and the patient ID is 238. Status recovered. Alright. So another procedures 2. this is the error, so I'm sorry. Procedures 2, the scenario is we can update doctor on call salary per case by inserting doctor ID. So okay, for in this procedure we did not use the cursor, we just use the procedure. So the procedure name is Excel, right? So after this anonymous block code for executing the procedure, so this the line code that call the procedures, and the procedure will asking for input .id and salary. So if we can see in this example, right, the procedure will ask for doctor ID, so we will insert the doctor ID 971 and enter value for salary, for the new salary. So the salary will be updated to the new salary 6590. So the data has been, so this is an example. The doctor ID is 657 and the value for salary is 5,000. So the 50,000 for the doctor 657 salary per case, new salary per case is 50,000, right? So that's all from task 7. Thank you.
Hello, it's me again. Now I will explain on the final task, which is task 8, which is the function. As you may know, function is where we call the function into an anonymous block. So in task 8, we created two functions to be called in one anonymous block. So now I'll explain. So since functions have different scenarios, let's go to the first function, which is scenario 1. We said that for a given salary per case, this is our variable, which is sal per case, on each doctor, determine the bonus the doctor will get, which is based on the salary per case value. The value returned will be based on the following table. So we created two conditions, which is more than 3,200 and less than 3,200. If more, the bonus is 0.2%. If less, the bonus is 0.1%. So this means that the output should display the doctor ID and the bonus depending on the salary per case. So this is the code for the function, which is the basic function commands, which is to create or replace function doctor bonus, as doctor bonus is our first function name, and we call the sal per case, and then we call it in the anonymous block, and then we return number, and we declare as bonus, and the parameter is number. Begin as the basic one. So the condition based on the table, if salary per case is more than 2,200, the bonus is 0.2%. Else bonus, the reason we did this because there is no other conditions, so else bonus is equals to 0.1%. So we end the if statement, and then we return bonus, which then we will return, and then we end. That is for the first function. The second function is that for a given salary on each doctor, determine the tax exemption the doctor will need to reduce, which is based on the salary value. So on this part, we use salary parameter. So the value returned will be based on the following table, where we have two conditions, which is more than 19,000 and less than 90,000. With more than 90,000, the tax is 0.1%. With less than 19,000, the tax is 0.06%, same as GST. So in the output, we said that it should display the doctor ID and the bonus depending on the salary per case. Oh, no, depending on the salary, sorry. So for the code, it's to create or replace function tax exam. This is our function, the second function, and we put salary inside it. So it will be called in the anonymous block. And then we return number as the tax, as the declarable, and the parameter is number. So begin. This is our condition. The if statement starts with the salary is more than 19,000, the tax is 0.1%. Else, since there is no other conditions, we just put else and tax is 0.06%. We end the if statement and we return tax. Now is the tricky part, which is the anonymous block code. So the code is we accept prompt since we want the user to enter doctor ID easier way. So we just put this statement, enter the doctor ID. We declare the variable, which is variable sale per case, variable bonus, variable salary, variable tax, all of them in number. We begin, we select the what we want, which is salary per case and salary, into our variable from the table of doctor table, and where we said that the doctor must be this input by the user, which is doctor ID. Then we put the condition, which is the variable bonus is equal to doctor bonus, which is V sal per case, where we function call to the first function one is sal per case. So the variable is same to salary per case inside the variable of the salary per case. Then we output the line so it would display the bonus of doctor per case is RM the salary per case time V bonus. Now for the tax exemption, we put variable salary. Same also on the second function, we put salary. So the function call is variable underscore salary. The display of the total tax for the doctor is salary times by tax. Then we end. This is one of the sample of the result, which we put doctor ID 657 as the control, and it gets the bonus of the doctor per case is 999.40 cents, and the total tax for the doctor is 2,804.70 cents. Secondly, we use second to prove that the code is actually working. We put the doctor ID as 360. The 360 is the bonus of the doctor per case is 220 ringgit 20 cents, and the tax for doctor is 980 ringgit 34 cents. So that is our function, and the anonymous block. Basically, our function is to call on two new things, which is the bonus and the tax, and the anonymous block is used to call both functions. So that is the completion of task 8. With that, I thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Danial Afiq bin Azlan, metric number 1829901. So, I will be explaining about the last task that we have to do, which is task 9. So, for task 9, we need to develop a web application for our database. So, for that, for our group, we have used exam here, as you can see here, and also WordPress. This is the WordPress dashboard. So by using WordPress and exam, we created a database, and also we created a front end in which the tables from the database is displayed in the WordPress website. So as we can see here, this is the website, the WordPress website, as we can see, and we have 4 tables in the navigation menu here. So the first table is the hospital table. This is how the hospital table looks like. There are 10 entries here, 10 data entries. So the contact location table, this is how it looks like. And the doc on call table, this is how it looks like. And lastly, the cases table. This is how it looks like. So now this is the PHP MyAdmin in which we have used to store our database. As we can see, here we have all 4 tables located here. This is the cases table, the contact location table, the doc on call table, and the hospital table. All four of these are located inside this database, which I have been created, which is the WordPress database inside phpMyAdmin. So let's have a look inside the hospital table. This is the data inside the hospital table. As you can see, there are 10 entries here. The doc on call table, this is how it looks like. There is also 10 entries here. The contact location table here, and also the cases table here. Now I would like to show you that anything that we change in the database will affect the table displayed in the WordPress website. Let's say if in the cases table we want to add a new patient. Okay, let's do that. In the cases table, let's insert a new patient. So the case ID, let's enter 111. And the name of the patient, let's say Ahmad. Okay, so the date in, let's choose a date, maybe 2nd of July, 2nd of June, and the last date is 12th of August. Okay, the status is recovered. Let's write that. The doc ID, let's choose Dr. Izzat here. And the location ID, let's choose Johor Bahru. Now we have all the data filled. Now let's press go. And okay, one row has been inserted in the database. Let's see. As you can see here, case ID 111 has been inserted in the database. Let's see if it replicates the view here inside the website. Okay, as we can see here, number 111 is here. Ahmad, he's admitted on 2nd of June and he recovered on 12th of August. Status is recovered, the doc ID and also the location ID is also present here. Okay, say if you want to delete the data, say we delete Ahmad. Okay, one row has been affected, it's been deleted. Now if we refresh, Ahmad, there is no more Ahmad inside the cases table here. Okay, so that shows that the database works with the WordPress website, that it's linked with the WordPress website. Okay, now I would like to show you the coding for the PHP, in which this is the PHP coding that is used to create the table and also retrieve the data from the database. Okay, this is the PHP coding. This is the part where inside here, this is the part where I retrieve the data from the database. Select case ID, name, date in, date out, status, doc ID and location ID from cases. So this is the SQL statement that retrieves the data from the database. And all of these are the table design, how I designed the table here. And also I inserted the data from the database inside the table using these commands. So the same goes for the contact location here. As you can see, this is the doc on call table and also the hospital table. All four of the tables use the same PHP coding template. Only what changes is the way that the SQL statement to retrieve the data from the database, and also how the data is been inserted into the table. That is what changes. Okay, so I think that is all from my part. So thank you.